They're never going to meet me.
No.
No David tonight?
I saw a helmet out there.
That's mine.
Oh, that's you. Didn't know. I didn't hear from.
I saw him driving over
What?
I know.
A car?
He just got a ball strike. No.
That's just rude.
I just ran him over with my big, massive vehicle. So.
I didn't actually put introductions on here.
No, I got that, so.
Okay.
Should we get started? I guess so. 7 o'clock? Excuse me tonight, I'm a little bit sleepy. Bear with
Trying to
me.
be interesting.
Yeah. So anything needed to be added to the agenda? Anybody have a chance to look at it? And everybody's good? Good. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
The only thing that's wrong is the October 7th meeting. First. So I think we have an item to discuss
Oh,
that.
that's for the fact meeting.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
Oh,
the
okay.
fact prep meeting.
right.
Alrighty,
I'll do a motion for approving the agenda.
perfect. And we need a seconder for
Sure.
the agenda?
Yeah.
Seconder? Tyler? Awesome, thank
All in
you.
favor?
All in favor? Opposed? Awesome. Okay. And then adoption of the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes from last time? Is there any issues? No. If not, can I have a motion to accept the minutes? First Tyler, and then seconder? Okay, Wendy seconds. All in favor? Opposed? Okay. So now we do have a delegation. Is he calling in?
He was
or-
going to, but let's call him.
Okay, so this is Clayton Watson from Vancouver Water
Do
Ventures.
you want to maybe talk to him first about it, or do you guys know anything about it?
Do you want me, yeah, I can give I had a little conversation with Clayton about, so basically he wants to look at the feasibility of having a water taxi service.
Oh, I did some post.
Hmm?
I think he's posted something on.
He's posted on
Granville
Facebook,
Island. Actually,
Granville
Granville
Island,
Island,
yeah, Granville
Hi,
Island.
Clayton.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Great.
Actually introduced you.
Oh, right, Jason, I'm so sorry, okay. Hold, give us 1 second, Clayton. We have a
Okay.
member, this is Jason Dowdswell.
That was all.
There we go.
Thanks for having me.
Yes,
Yes.
definitely.
Clayton, I'm a new member to the Transport Committee on Bow Island.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Perfect. So would you like to give a little presentation? I know we had a conversation, but would you like to give a little presentation to everybody here?
Yeah, I guess I'll just give a little rundown of what we're thinking. So we are Vancouver Water Ventures. We are a tour operator on Granville Island. We also have a couple of paddleboard and kayak spots at English Bay and Kislano Beach. We do some tours already into Indian Arm, into Howe Sound. We also do a Bowen Island dinner tour to Bowen Island, bringing about 20 people a night over to Bowen Island already. We are thinking of expanding and doing some more tours to Bowen Island, possibly some day tours, and possibly a water taxi. So basically our thoughts are, after talking to a lot of people on Bowen Island, including some that have run water taxis before, it doesn't seem like it's completely viable to run the water taxi affordably on its own. So we are looking to probably off-put some of those costs by offering tours that would go to Bowen Island. So, we could do a run of the tours to Bowen Island in the morning, which would then help us be able to give the water taxi option, not at $50 a ride. To make it profitable, we'd be able to do it much less because that boat would be coming back and then offering another water taxi back in the evening to pick up other tours, or maybe there are tours that go in the evening, but obviously the people that water taxi in the morning would need a ride back at night. If the ridership was strong. Of course, we could offer more rides, but right now, just in the preliminary stage, we're thinking about one shuttle to and from Bowen Island and Granville Island as of right now.
Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Yeah, so Clayton, with that one run, what time of day would be the outbound from Bowen and the return to Bowen?
That we haven't set the time for that. We would probably be putting feelers out to the public of Bowen to see what are the times that people want to go and how can we best serve that need. I mean, it's like a restaurant. If you want to serve lunch at 3 and everybody wants to come for lunch at 1, it doesn't really work to serve lunch at 3. So it would really just be us doing some R&D and finding out what do people want, what do people need to get from Bowen to New.
Wendy, did you?
My question is it seasonal or is it year-round?
So we have also not decided that either. Right now we're just in the planning stages of this development. So we really have to see. Of course we could do it in the main seasons like April until, October. But from what I've heard from some of the other companies that ran it was once the winter comes, you get bad weather and that cancels a lot of your trips, and you also get way less ridership in the winter. So I think what would happen would you would have to see what the ridership was. Of course, if there's only 3 or 4 people taking that ferry in the off season, we'd just be losing immense amounts of money running the water taxi, so it wouldn't be feasible. But if we do have a greater number of people that want to do it, then hopefully that would be the case, and we'd be able to continue it year round.
I feel like maybe it's a little bit of a chicken and egg kind of thing, because you want more information to create the proposal, but probably for anything to really happen from the Bowen side, we need a proposal kind of thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
So I did find out a little bit more information. So there is a designated water taxi spot right now, which is being used, or at least it is held, the lease is held. Pretty much, I think, 4 options moving forward. If you were, the first step would be for you to be able to approach council with a viable business plan that would give them potentially an idea of, something to move forward and see options, whether, there's another spot opened up or whatever. So I don't know if there's anybody else has any other input into that, or?
Just questions about if this is a shuttle instead of a come to Bowen and wait for the afternoon to go back, how much dock time and dock space would you be looking for that proposal?
Yeah, well, of course the actual drop-off and pickup hopefully wouldn't be that far apart, because we'd be paying drivers, so we don't want drivers to sit there for hours and hours waiting for people. So we would try to time the drop-off maybe half an hour apart so that people get off, we can clean the boat, the next people get on. I don't imagine that we would need to be staying there very often. We would probably try to time all of our tours together. So I would imagine the longest days, maybe we might have early morning tours that are going for morning hikes and coming back in the middle of the afternoon. So, if somebody comes in at 6 and maybe our first ferry is at 7:30, there could be an hour and a half that the boat sits there, but us as a company, we wouldn't want the boat to be sitting dead there for too long, paying the driver to look at it.
So would a short-term reservable spot on the island work? Is that, because that might be the lowest impact option to consider, would be some sort of dock space that you could reserved for chunks of the day, and then it could just be a loading drop-off spot the rest of the time.
Yeah, I mean, right now, we really don't know how, I'm not a Bowen resident myself. I certainly go to Bowen Island all the time and have lots of friends that live there, but I don't really know how the municipality works and what the, I'm sure people would be excited to have another ferry option, but I do know that there are some pretty cheap options as well, like taking the ferry over and taking the bus into town. So for us, we would really be wanting to, if we're going to invest in the proper vessel and times, we wouldn't want to be doing something that, we're going to do this, plan this for a summer and see if it works and then deal with them. We really want to have something set in stone that this is the spot that we will be using for picking people up and dropping people off. So I don't know if that's what you meant by saying like a...
Yeah, I guess that's what I was looking for clarification for, is are you requesting a full-time spot set aside for your operation, or is something less impactful an option? So it sounds like a full-time spot is what you'd be looking for.
Yeah, I think just for us to be able to operate professionally, we would probably need a full-time spot. Because then if it gets busy, we wouldn't want to have to come back and say, hey, we want to open another time slot. Is that okay with you guys? We really want to just be able to say, hey, it's busy, for whatever the weekends. And we're going to add 2 ferries on the weekends because people are coming more. I don't know how fast Bowen Island Municipality works, but we do a lot of work with the Vancouver Board, City, and the Park Board, and it takes a long time to get anything through. So I think we would really want to be looking at the long-term vision of it and being able to say, okay, we have this spot. If it's needed, we can add more ferries. We can do what we need to do. Instead of, we can allot this spot from 8 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. Again, from 5:30 to 6. I think we'd be thinking more like we need to fixate a spot that is just for us.
And how long of a vessel or how long of a slip were you thinking?
I would imagine 30 feet. So the boat that we are currently using for transport, like our closed boat, is 33 feet with the engines. So I don't think we would go much more than that, just based on cost. The 33-foot boat, an SBOP driver can drive that vessel. If you get any bigger, you're going into a 60-ton ticket, and then that just escalates the cost that we would have to pass on to the people to ferry. So we would be trying to get really the cheapest possible thing we can get going. That's a fast water taxi.
So are you amenable? I know that, like I said, it's based on whether or not you can get the spot, but as I said, for council to be receptive to exploring options for having more spot, either additional spot or the existing spot or whatever. Definitely they would want to see a proposal, and I think they'd probably be receptive to that. I think everybody wants to see a water taxi operating on Bowen and everything, and I think I can speak for everyone here that we do as well. So, I mean, are you okay to come up with something that, without, I know you don't want to maybe put too much into it, not without any sort of guarantee, but I guess that's just the way it is anyways, but, oh, and Emma, sorry?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Emma. I'm the island planner here. We've gotten a similar request in the past for use of the dock for a water taxi and to help staff.
Oh, sorry, I can't hear what you're saying there.
I'm also sick. Sorry. Hi, my name's Emma. I'm the island planner, and I was just saying that we've gotten a similar request in the past, and to help staff evaluate these type of requests. When you do come up with your business proposal, in addition to, you know, the tours that you want to do and the time of day and the time of year that you want to operate and use the dock space, please do also include your experience operating a water taxi, as well as the operator information and your vessel information, as Tyler was asking about the dimensions and your docking needs. For the research part of your proposal, I can say, well, you know this already, we used to have a water taxi going to Granville Island, and when that stopped, there was, I think it was much lamented. It did actually, it served a need in the community. But as far as the usage of the government dock, it is definitely the busiest in the summer. So when you're presenting the business proposal, council will consider how it contributes to the island economy by bringing in visitors, but more importantly, they want to see the benefit to the community. So the water taxi portion of your proposal is very attractive in that regard, because there is no service going to Granville Island right now, but the commuter need is highest in the winter. So just some things to consider. The dock is very busy for our, you know, transitory boats in the summer. So to balance that, we would like to see it actually contributing to the community as a water taxi service. That's just my 2 cents from the planning department.
Yeah, I don't think that it's impossible to do it in the winter, and that would be our goal. For sure, like if there is a need for it and there's a way to do it, even not losing money to keep those riders for the summer, it's doable. I just think that the downside, I want to be totally upfront and not, you know, misleading. If we were losing money in the winter, just like I said before, and only getting, you know, 3 or 4 riders, I don't think it's something that we could continue throughout the winter to run. I did do a little message in the Bowen Island Everything group just to see if it was something that people would be after. And I got some suggestions, and a lot of people private messaged me as well on price, and I think that the price that people want to pay would be doable in the summertime, subsidizing it with the tours, but the winter price, if it's like a lot of one-way going, there's a lot of cost to run it. So we would need a lot of ridership. We need to be able to get at least, you know, 10 to 12 people a day to continue it through the winter. I don't know how possible that is. I know the other guys were really trying to do a lot of runs, so if we were bringing it down to, you know, 1 in and out a day, I do believe that we would likely be able to fill the boat. I just haven't run a water taxi to Bowen, so I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I do have some additional thoughts that you've probably gotten through the personal messaging. I agree that it was a loss when we lost the water taxi service. It benefited because it brought you to Cole Harbour. It also brought you to Granville Island, and there were regular runs for the commuting service during the winter especially. But it was a loss leader. So where you're looking at a minimum value proposition or a minimum viable product, I think that dipping your toe in with the business proposal, it can cater to a different group as well, because I think there's an absence that's been lost already. Like, the commuters have already figured out how to take Pete's bus or the 257 downtown, and we've adjusted for it. But the activity of getting to Granville Island for arts umbrella classes or going to the pools or the ice rinks that don't exist on Bowen is something that I felt a lot of the families have messaged me to say, like, hey, this is the one thing that's absent, because you can't just get on the water taxi anymore and get to Granville Island and go to arts umbrella for an arts class for your kid. So as you mentioned of when the runs might happen, I think that maybe the first catering group is more about the education opportunities for the families that want to reach out beyond Bowen Island and get some of that access to downtown Vancouver through Granville Island, through the park that's up at the ice skating rink up at Queen Elizabeth Park kind of thing. So I think the commuters have somewhat adjusted right now, and I recognize, like, you've done your research to find out that the previous was a loss leader. So maybe just include that with your proposal if that aligns with what you've heard with other families.
Yeah, that's great insight. Thank you.
Anybody else? Perfect. I don't know, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Okay, there you go. Anything else you'd like to chit chat about, or any other questions or anything?
I don't know if this will bring up any questions, but kind of in closing for us, I was reaching out really to see what the amicability is of, you know, the municipality of Bowen to help us to find a moored spot to accomplish this endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
We do tours already, and we work a lot with Oitis, and they work really hard to get us in, and they're great. But they can't guarantee us a spot every night, and that's one of the reasons that we were coming to Bowen Island municipality to say, how does this affect you guys if we were to bring a water taxi here? And, you know, to help make this happen, can we get a spot at the government dock? So that's our main thing, and I don't mind at all making up a little proposal to see how that might work. But I guess our main thing is that if we couldn't get a spot at the government dock, the whole thing kind of comes apart for us.
Yeah.
So that's our main point of research right now is this even possible to start talking about, to be able to get a spot? If it's not even possible to get a spot, then it's dead in the water.
Is it,
So council would make a decision
Yeah,
about how they
council.
would adjust the government
yeah,
rules.
yeah, and we're, you know, we're an advisory committee, right? So we can,
Yeah.
but we don't have that ability to say the yay or nay per se kind of thing. So it really does, you do need to go to council with some sort of proposal to have that, you know, have this kind of conversation with them, I would assume, and then, could we like suggest that they have a conversation with Clayton, or?
Council
like,
may, if chief puts something into council, they may refer it back here. Would it be in the form of a letter?
The proposal?
Yeah.
It could be. It'd probably be best if they could be a delegation.
Okay, so we can, I can touch base with you tomorrow, Clayton, and set you up with the right person who can get you in front of council.
Yeah, okay. And maybe just a question for me. You guys, as the advisory council, do you guys feel that, one, is this a need that's lacking right now? I know we wouldn't be able to go to Cole Harbour because they are in Cole Harbour shutting down a lot of the commercial marinas, so there's no real commercial space for us to get. And the Green Dock, I've been talking to the city of Vancouver quite a bit, and they don't even anticipate starting to work on it until 2023. So a lot of people in our chat that I started up were saying, oh, that's great, Granville Island, but Cole Harbour is where I want to go. Cole Harbour is where I want to go. Everybody kept saying Cole Harbour. So one, do you guys feel that it's a good thing for Bowen Island? And two, do you guys feel that only going to Granville Island, is that going to dissuade a lot of the riders to say, hey, you know, we'll just take the longer route and go on the ferry into the bus?
It's a good question because we have an express bus that goes downtown and Peter's bus who goes downtown, but nothing goes to Granville Island. To get over to Granville Island would be difficult, but I have no idea who works in that area in terms of needing the commuter run. If you'd get 12 people minimum every single day, that's a good question.
Yeah, I'd say I'm on that commuter run, and half the people, they get off at Granville and Georgia or Burrard, and you're kind of at work. The other half get on the Canada line and commute beyond that, or the Expo line and commute beyond that. So there's a lot of people going south, but we don't have the demographics right now to say exactly who's going where, I think.
Yeah, is that a 24 passenger bus that does that run?
I think it's a 48 now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a big, okay.
Well, it was just upgraded
Yeah.
through a new association on the island. Previously, it had been 24 or less and was often overbooked.
Would there be drivers who would convert?
The drivers convert to.
Car drivers who would be driving over to
Yeah, I think, I mean, the predecessor was a great service, but I agree that as a business model, it didn't survive through the winter months being subsidized, but the accessibility is prevalent to everyone. The bummer is always when you get downtown, you have to then commute again, so having another landing point is fantastic. And maybe that's more of a discussion, which is maybe there's other areas that are feasible for people to get to.
Emma, the survey that was done, was it 2 years ago? Did that have an endpoint destination of where people can get to? Like, do we have any data on where people go to?
Oh, sorry, who's ever talking right now?
We're talking about data that we've collected, perhaps.
There was a transportation survey done a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago, and just curious if it had any
3 years ago.
information about where people ended up in the city.
Yeah, it did. I mean, it's not super accurate. It's a lot of self-reporting. But we ran essentially an origin destination survey about 3 years ago, and we had a really good response. Over 20% of the households on Bowen responded. I can't tell you off the top of my head exactly where in Vancouver, but the majority of commute trips ended in downtown Vancouver, North Vancouver, let's say West Vancouver, but I don't know why. Who goes to West Vancouver?
Well, even
But
on-
as far as the Granville Island area, I can't remember if that really came out of the data, like as a major destination for commute trips.
Yeah, so with our, I've been also talking to some of the ferries, so there might be an opportunity to say if you bought a ticket to the water taxi, you can use that ticket then to jump on the ferry to get to Yaletown or to get to the West End.
For science.
And I'm sure that would help as well, but
Yeah.
it's kind of more end process things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and even in combination with like car share services like Car2Go or Moto, I mean, when you get to Granville Island, there's a fleet of cars that can get you to Kitsilano, can get you to UBC, can get you to Kerrisdale. Most of the riders that are bums in seats on the ferry in the morning commute are on the bus because they can work downtown. If someone's in a car, usually it's because they're going to Burnaby or New Westminster or Quitlam and they need the wheels underneath it.
Yeah.
So there's a value add that you bring to just being able to you know, in a 30-minute run, land in another part of the city and through ease and functionality, provide a second level of access to parts of the city for both work and, you know, education for kids or entertainment.
The weekend to Granville Island seems like that would be highly desirable these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe in the off season, if it wasn't very, very busy, maybe we could offer, you know, instead of 7 days a week, we go these 4 days a week, or I'm not sure, but for us, it would be better for us to be able to run year round. Then we can keep the drivers year round. We don't have to, you know, tell a driver, oh, your job's only for the summer. They have a job for the year.
We do seem to have higher ferry congestion on Thursdays and Fridays for people who are car bound. And there tends to be more bridge related disasters on those days too. So you might find that there are certain days that would have higher incentive to go from Granville Island.
Do you guys feel that, so we bring a lot of tours over, and I'm the owner of the company. I don't always do the tours, but I try to do, you know, 1 tour a week. And most of the people, when I go over to Bowen, they're super, you know, happy to have tourists coming over. They're happy that we're plugging money into the community. But there are a certain amount of people that are like, we don't want tourists on Bowen Island. Like, we came to an island to live away from the tourists. Do you feel that that is a negative for us? If we're, one, bringing tourists over, then commuting people back, is there going to be any backlash from people to say, like, don't go with that ferry because they bring tourists here? Or is generally in Bowen Island, that's not a big deal?
I don't think so. I think the big issue is the ferry overload.
Yeah.
I think there are some people who complain about tourism, but I think it's mostly the congestion of getting on the ferry in the afternoons. I can't imagine there would be any backlash from commuters.
Well, I can imagine you'll find a couple of voices that will come on all fronts,
Yeah.
but in general, no, I wouldn't say so.
That was mainly the reason I suggested balancing your proposal with the water taxi service.
Yeah.
Just to show that, you know, it's not just about the tourism.
Yeah, of course, you know, the tourism will subsidize it to be able to keep it cheaper, but they work hand in hand, like, as well, you know, the boat is gonna come back empty, so
No, and I
as
think,
much as it's subsidizing one, it's subsidizing the other.
I think a lot of the issues with any sort of idea of over-tourism is that the infrastructure on the island maybe just not for all the cars, right? So this is something that, where there's no cars, it's just people, kind of thing,
Yeah.
which might make it a little bit more palatable to some.
Yeah, okay, great. I didn't have any more questions for you guys, but if anybody else has any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Is there anybody else that has?
Well, and just kind of on that tourism idea, also the idea of the educational impact, the social impact, because again, Bowen does not have an ice rink. Bowen doesn't have a large swimming pool, and the amenities that are close by are North Vancouver, West Vancouver. But that's a commitment from Bowen families to take a vehicle across the ferry at a dollar cost that's large if you're doing it on a regular basis. Yet getting to Granville Island gets you the 50 waterfront station bus that gets you to all pools and all ice rinks easily from your location. So I think there's arteries with accessibility in Granville Island that are valuable in a proposal to say, look, we're going to open up channels of additional access for after-school sports and education for the population of Bowen, while we don't have those amenities in place at present.
Yeah, great. That didn't even come across my mind, so that's, and that's one of the reasons I thought best to reach out, because people that are living on the island are going to really know what they want and need more than.
Just following up on that point, thinking of even getting into West Vancouver, and there's a very highly underutilized pier in Dunderave, very close to the rec center.
Yeah.
Thinking of people just going swimming, going skating. If you want to be car-free with 2 kids, it's a real hassle to, you know, take them. But being able to make the water taxi part of the trip, which for people who don't own boats, it would be fun to just get on the boat. That could be kind of cool if you're looking for more runs. There could be some interest from families anyway in just getting into West Van efficiently.
Yeah, so adding a new location, Dunderave, West Vancouver, easy access to the ice rink and the ice, pool.
Yeah, it could be something even like once a week on this day, we do this run that gets close to this pool, like family run or something.
Cool. Perfect. So, staff, you and Clayton can talk about moving next steps.
We'll touch base in the
with
morning.
stuff.
Okay, give you a call in the morning, Clayton.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, thanks for your time, everyone. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye. Whew. So, is there any discussion, anybody wants to have any discussion now before we move on?
I was curious as to what if the previous proposals for dock space were just the operations that have happened, or you've had other tour operators looking for space?
I don't know all the details because I'm not the wharfinger, but I just know that the last request was denied.
For tours.
For water taxi spot. But I think there wasn't enough confidence in the operator. So that's why I was saying make sure you include your
Right.
experience as a water taxi operator.
No, it's good. I'm glad you spoke up. That was really good.
Do you know if the tourists they bring over, if they bring all this equipment with them? I'd hate to see more jet skis coming in and out of.
No,
No.
that's all stuff that they
Okay.
offer there.
Okay.
This is not like his
They're
idea
just
is not
trying
to bring
bring
this
people
over.
here. Just
Yeah.
people.
So, and he had talked about, like saying, okay, bring, foodie tours,
Right.
or even though he offers kayaking where he is, bring people over
Right.
to go to our local kayaking place or whatever, you know what I
So
mean,
it
like
would
stuff like
support-
that. Bringing
Would
people
support
in,
business,
yeah,
businesses on board.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be taking any.
no, at that time. But we'll just do a little quick yay and nay. So, May 7th meeting, we have Tyler and Scott consulting the map and the transportation plan, which indicates the biking route and recommend appropriate locations for signs or arrows. Didn't we do this?
I think I did this.
I think it's done, but it's
Yeah.
also coming up again.
Yeah.
I'll put it up
So
there.
we're gonna be looking at that later on as well.
No, I think this one was done separate. We have two bike-related things.
Right,
One was just done,
okay.
the signage, and then this one
And
we
that's
were
what you're
talking.
presenting on later on is the signage.
No, we had talked about the fact that Calgary has a bylaw
That's
for
right.
passing.
Sorry, right. Okay. Did we need to do anything more with this one then?
This is done.
I think we're done, okay. Provide Emma, ideas regarding regional partnership transportation initiative. Did we already say that was done?
I think so, because the meeting has come and gone.
Yes, okay, I thought so.
Sorry, sometimes I.
July 2nd meeting, we have David and Emma
Yeah.
discussing.
Same thing.
That was a
Same
follow-up to the first one
Okay.
there, yeah.
Done?
Yeah.
Okay,
And just a
oh,
last
sorry.
call for that though, I did get another email from Translink saying, oh, we didn't get anything from you, Bowen. By the way, would you like to submit something? So,
Anybody?
a chance.
Keep it going, you have until tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm gonna respond tomorrow. The only thing I can think of, and it might require a little bit more staff time than I can spend on it, is to really promote the idea of the waterways for transportation, which we've already put forward before. It's also in the INSTEP plan, the North Shore Transportation Plan, to do a marine feasibility study.
To do a what, sorry?
Marine
Oh, marine,
feasibility
okay.
study, like using
Right.
the water routes to get like all the way from the airport up to Squamish